DonInLondon, hello. My videos, say the date first, 29th of September, almost the end of September, here in London. When it gets to October, November, we would say we were having an Indian summer. But seeing as we haven't had any summer whatsoever, we're having a few days of sunshine, which is remarkable for the UK just at this time in this year. So September the 29th, my videos, they're all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, could have been anything, and my behaviour, equally addictive, around people, places and things. Wanting, needing, desiring to be with the right people, in the right place, doing the right things, having the right things. You name it, a very good consumer of whatever I thought it was, which would fix me and make me feel right about my life. So, alcoholic, workaholic, relationshipaholic, people, places and things, you name it, I could get addicted to certain types of behaviour to prove my worth, my value. So, I don't know where my self-esteem was all those years, but there was a lot of fear of being found out, not feeling quite good enough, wondering what was round the next corner, wondering what people were plotting behind my back, or simply wondering why people didn't tell me the truth about themselves. And I wonder about those things, and then I realised I wasn't very good at telling people the truth about me, because I didn't know that much about the real me, the person or the human I could be if I had not tried to fix myself and take the edge off continually for decades. So these days I try not to take the edge off. I try to live life on life's terms, just as it is, sober, without a drink inside me, and not wondering what you're thinking. But I will put myself in your shoes enough, hopefully, to see the big picture. So it's not just about me. This world is not about me. This world is just the way it is at this moment in time. And I can be in it, included, as best I can with what I have. And if I'm open to making mistakes on a daily basis, I'm still open to learning life, simply on a daily basis. And if somebody said to me, you ought to know that by now, or why is it you don't know these things, which are just so simple, the answer is, well, it's beyond my life experience until now, so please help me. And that's where my recovery started, when I realised I didn't have the answer how to get sober, and I didn't have the answer about how to do life, or live life, or be in life. Just be included, part of, and find a way forwards in real life without taking the edge off. So I'm very grateful to be still here after several years of being sober, and it's only one day at a time. If I tried to say to myself, for the next umpteen years I'm going to be sober and I'll be okay, I'd have tried to do it on willpower, my ideas and my way of looking at the world. So what have I learned? It's not my way, it's my way of looking at the world which counts overall. But I do have freedom of choice to choose a path for myself based on reality and being open, honest and willing to live and keep on learning. So alcohol shut me down, my fears shut me down, isolation shut me down, shame and guilt shut me down. And these days it's okay not to know. So if I don't know, I can find out. If I don't know and it's relevant to me and it's urgent, I'll realise it's pretty urgent, I need to find out and learn life and how it is. So I'm extraordinarily grateful to other people who knew how to get me sober, or how to show me a path to being sober. They didn't actually know how to get me sober, but they'd learned how to do it for themselves, and then they shared about it incessantly and every day, a bit like I do. But the point is, I needed to find help, and that was my moment of clarity, if you like, into how to be a sober person and live life and learn about it all over again. Learn the basics, learn the rudiments of how to relate to people, truthfully, open, honest and willing. So who were these people? Well, they all seemed to, at the beginning, there were two types of people who had the answer. Those who had the answer because they were living sober, and those who had the answer because they had heard about it. So I was very lucky to hear from people who had heard that there was a way to get sober, and to find the people who could. So professionals suggested, why don't you try AA, Alcoholics Anonymous? And alcoholic, that was the first word which made me feel a bit queasy, and anonymous also made me feel a bit queasy, because who were they, all these anonymous people in fellowship? Well, the good news is I met a lot of recovering alcoholics who preferred to share their experience, strength and hope anonymously, by first name only, in meetings and groups, and some people who just shared they were in recovery wherever they were. And I became one of that latter group of people, I guess, that if the world knows I'm an alcoholic and doesn't like it, they'll leave me alone, which is okay by me, because I'm not here to convert anybody to my point of view, and let life happen. And if they knew me as an alcoholic in recovery, and they liked the idea that here's a person trying to learn how to live life again, for whatever reason, alcohol covered up the feelings of inadequacy, and he's having a go. And there are a lot of people in that category. In fact, probably about 99% of the people I meet, if I tell them, well, my life story includes becoming an alcoholic, but I'm now in recovery and have been for a while, one day at a time, they're interested, and that starts with family, friends close by to me, and people who've known me professionally over the years are a bit surprised. How did he ever get to that place of utter horror, living with nothing on a park bench, not able to communicate at all, when he seemed to be such a great communicator in his careers? And the answer simply was this: I'd lost the plot completely, and I needed help. So the professional said, why not try AA and see what happens? So I went, and the first thing I learned is everyone's different in AA, but they have one similarity: a desire to stop drinking and share how they did it with other people. And being involved with professionals in my own personal journey, counsellors and the National Health Service in the UK, they said, well, why don't you share the message on video for those clients we have, or as they call them then, service users, who don't appreciate the idea of AA at all and see themselves as different in some way. Oh no, I'm not an alcoholic of that type, I don't need that sort of help, I've got the National Health Service. But the answer was simple: well, the National Health Service is there to an extent, like family are there to an extent, like counsellors are there to an extent, like doctors are there to an extent, and they may provide absolutely excellent help and support, but they can't do it 24/7, and they can't do it quite in the way as one alcoholic can relate their story to another alcoholic. So my story is, professionals help me as much as family, friends, community, anything, service people, people who had an idea. And then I found this whole society or fellowship of people who were working out how to be sober today, just for a day. And that appealed to me. And some of the things they said about themselves were on this little card here, and I am one of them now. But I don't speak for any other alcoholic. I don't speak for AA, never can, never will. AA is a fellowship or a society with some ideas about how it runs itself. But I don't comment on how it runs itself or the people in it, because I'm just a trusted servant like anybody else. So I'm not taking a lead for anyone or a fellowship either. I'm just relating my story. And if I missed out AA in my story, I'd have nothing to say, I suspect. Except that I'm sober today, and there's a good reason for it, but I can't tell you about it. Or I'm not even going to tell you I'm sober today, or that I have a history of drinking. Well, I have, and it was 35 years long, and it led into a very dark, horrible place of suicidal behaviour and preferring death to living. I'd lost it completely. So this is what AA on this little card says about itself. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. And this is why I do the videos. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. And the reason why it's only a desire to stop drinking is because if you try to impose rules, laws or regulations on any alcoholic and expect them to conform to those rules, regulations or laws. If they can't give up drinking on their own, and they are stubborn and defiant and want to try and do everything on willpower, the very idea of being instructed to do something is alien and will lead to death, probably, because you can't tell me what to do, I'm me. So all you need is a desire to stop, and nobody can impose their views on you. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. So if we have a bit of money to share for the rent, the tea, coffee, biscuits and some literature, we add a bit of money into the pot, but only enough. Excuse me. Apologies, a slight interruption just there. Where did I get to? Oh yes, halfway through the preamble. So the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. And this important paragraph: AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. So as a fellowship and society, AA is not there to impose anything on you. However, every single person in AA has views, opinions, beliefs, causes, belongs to other things, so you will hear all about their outlooks and how sobriety works for them in their lives. So they're not there to impose or instruct you on how to live your life, just share experience, strength and hope. And the primary purpose, as it then says, our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So the good news is, no matter whatever is going on for other people, ups, downs, lefts, rights, all the stuff of life happens, and still we stay sober and don't need to fix ourselves or our outlooks with a drink. That simple, that difficult, because the problem with addiction of any kind is an inability to stop on our own, no matter how strong-willed we might be, and stay stopped and find emotional balance in our lives. So the whole thing of sobriety is emotional balance, knowing how we feel, why and what we can do, and understanding if we want to get on with people, it's about how we all feel in a situation, why, and what can we do. It's about us, not them. So there is no us and them in fellowship, although in the first part of recovery it seems that way. Why are they all so happy and I'm so miserable? Or why is it that person's 30 years sober and still miserable today? And the answer is life keeps on happening, and some of it's good, some of it's bad, some of it's indifferent, and we learn all those things in fellowship. And then we find the wisdom of other people outside fellowship works as well. So we start to learn, and one of the keys is humility. Humility is the ability to keep on learning life, and it's okay not to know. Anyway, I share daily reflections from this book from AA, and in it covers the 12 steps and 12 traditions. 12 steps for a person to feel right about life. 12 living principles, in fact. And then the 12 traditions, which are about unity, service and recovery, and the very fact that nobody is a leader in AA, and I'm certainly not a spokesperson for it. I share about how it helps me, and how the literature helps me as well. So for today, September 29th, the AA daily reflection is exactly alike. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. This is when we're starting to get sober, and of course the bright spots in our lives happen all over the place, but helping people becomes a bright spot. A man came to the meeting drunk, interrupted the speakers, stood up and took his shirt off, staggered loudly back and forth for coffee, demanded to talk, and eventually the group's secretary, an unquotable name, called the secretary, the person running the meeting on behalf of its members, an unquotable name, and walked out. I was glad he was there. Once again I saw what I had been like, but I also saw what I still am, and what I still could be. I don't have to be drunk to want to be the exception and the centre of attention. I've often felt abused and responded abusively when I was simply being treated as a garden variety human being, The more the man tried to insist he was different, the more I realised he and I were exactly alike in relation to our drunkenness and where it took us, and our attitudes that we formed because of drink. That the world was against us and nobody understood us. Of course they couldn't understand. If you're not an alcoholic, how on earth can you understand the addiction? You're not supposed to, because it's beyond reason, it's beyond understanding. Why on earth would a person find themselves in that horrible state and not be able to stop? Well, the simple answer is, if we knew what we were doing and we would be affected that way, I don't know that we could have stopped once we started, because it's the addiction. It's beyond reason. So that's why the fellowship is an emotional spiritual program. Emotional, knowing what our feelings are and finding balance in them, and spiritual, able to cope with reality, what's happening now. And my thoughts this morning, September 29th. Looking for answers in our own life story. Why did I do that? And the horror of harm done. And for me it was emotional horror that I created. Usually retaliation for harm done to me, or perceived harm done to me. Why did they do that? And then the deep hurts felt. For today, I hope I don't do that. And no need to look for the why of me or you today. So I'm not looking for the cause. I'm looking for what I can do so it doesn't get any worse or more harmful. Amends. The living amend to you. A sober day for me, full of mistakes, learning and understanding that humility is a way to broaden life experience and live in the moment of now. At my age I find pleasure in not knowing. No shame or guilt, and no need to cover up today. So it's okay not to know. And a man of my age ought to know many more things than I do, maybe. But if it's beyond my life experience, I'm open to learn them. And if you judge me for it as being inadequate, good, because it means you'll stay away from me. Previous years, 2005 to 2010. September 2010, similar, yes. At the same time, we are unique and authentic in our journey just for today. So we are all alcoholics. Same sorts of things going on, many similarities. But we are unique and authentic in our journey just for today. In recovery, whether we are 1 hour sober or 10 years sober, same day, same moment, that's where we are. How we see the day in recovery, we can share, support and challenge each other, always as equals, always our personal experiences, with hope today, more hope, less hopelessness. And again last year, exactly alike, we live in the same day as much as we can, sometimes haunted by the past, or fearful of the future, or simply in the moment of now where we find serenity is available if life in our heads let it be so. Serene when life is, alert when life requires, balance hopefully somewhere today. So serenity can happen. Doesn't mean we're all going to be happy about it. We can be peaceful in our sadness and feel it rather than push it away. Experience life on life's terms, emotional and spiritual. Step 9, this is from other years. Step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Restitution can be in many forms, emotional, spiritual and physical, to us and others. In addition, we may find financial obligations to meet from the past. We do as we can and make good whenever it is possible and practical, without doing more harm than good. And that's all part of it, without doing more harm than good. Step 9, and living differently. What does this mean day by day? A change in our attitudes and behaviour. We have learned all about how to live one day at a time, and then we need to learn what works one day at a time. So what worked yesterday may need to change today. Letting go of our old ways is rarely a one-off transformation. It takes time to change. Attitudes and behaviour need reinforcement. We need support, and that is what fellowship can provide. So if someone's been through it before, they can help us learn how to do it for ourselves today. We are learning what it's like to be open and honest, to take steps to develop our courage and faith, to be able to see when we are going wrong, admit and change our outlook. be able to accept help without shame or guilt. So not knowing is not shameful or guilty. I suppose it's not trying to find out, which can cause us equal harm, because we wonder if it's okay to let people know, I don't know this. But if we accept we are learners every day, and we know there is always a tendency to slip back into old notions and ideas when the pressure is on, if we can remind ourselves, sober and above ground, with basic needs met, we need not want. The living amend to ourselves and others is to put into practice what we learn daily, what works, rather than complain about what does not work. What doesn't work is a learning for us. Get help when we feel angry and cut off. Avoid isolating and be part of fellowship and life in general. Learn how to be useful and simply learn more about ourselves and the endless possibilities there may be today. Learning how to change on a daily basis means we need not hold old ideas. A person in recovery changes beyond all recognition. There are no should-dos in recovery. If we try hold on to what we had before, or seek it out, we need to be sure it is good for us. People, places and things have been our triggers to drink in the past. A new start is available every day to improve our spiritual and emotional well-being, and similarly we need to ensure we improve the spiritual and emotional well-being of others we encounter with our presence. If we undermine ourselves and others, it's time to change. Life in recovery every day is new, nothing taken for granted, and always under review. Step 9, the promise of new outlooks and new endeavour, one day at a time. So step 9, clearing the wreckage of the past and trying to make good as we can. Not feel that we know all the answers, that it's okay to be a learner today. I've got some friends coming to pick up some bits and pieces to help another friend in recovery. So I hope it wasn't too rushed this morning, but sometimes we have to prepare and make sure things are where they're needed. So a quick dash here and a quick dash there and help a friend out who's in a lot of difficulty right now. We do what we can do each and every day, and when I'm not sure or I need to take account of where I am, the Serenity Prayer helps me back to emotional balance. It doesn't mean that the emotions are going to be all wonderful or all horrible. It's going to be a mixture. So serenity is accepting life on life's terms for me, knowing where I am, what I can and cannot do. I can change me and my attitudes. I'm not here to try and change you and your attitudes. Can change me, can't change you. And the wisdom to know the difference comes every day. So the Serenity Prayer as an exhortation to God, or simply in good conscience, because it's not required to take on other people's belief systems. It's to utilise your own beliefs and understandings about the world and to check them out and how real and how they work for you. So God, as you understand, or simply good conscience, which works for you, is what works for you, not for me. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. For me, it's all about learning in the moment, can do, can't do, wisdom to know the difference, and it's always just for today.